Alrighty, let's get this show on the road. How's everybody doing? Let me see if I can click the right button here. Alright. I hope everybody had a great holiday. Glad to see a lot of you out there tonight. And I'll be completely honest with you right now. I was away for a couple days, didn't get a whole lot done. Did a little bit, but we'll do a little bit more tonight, and I'm extremely tired, so I don't know how long I'm going to last after 3 hours of sleep and 4 hours of traveling. Yeah, it's been a long day. So, anyhow, what I'm going to try to do tonight, because there's not a ton to show you what I've did, is I'm going to try to answer some of the YouTube questions that have popped up that I kind of completely. I read them all, but we'll get to some of those. Hello, Amaki, Badzilla, S7 Davis, everybody, Dagon, welcome back. And thank you for the follow to Dagon Naxus, and Exiel Naluk, and Zuil054. And if I'm butchering your names, I apologize. Cavalier Roy and PT Negarath, those are the guys, and Fithin. All those guys have followed since my last broadcast, which is awesome. Lars Monson, also thank you for your $50 donation as well. You know how much I appreciate it. And you're staring at my screen. Not much here. But you're staring at my fences program, because a lot of people always ask me what this is. And today, it's on sale. It helps me if you're getting into modding. You'll see I have icons everywhere, but you don't see them very often. So I'm just going to explain real quickly how this works. You can actually click anywhere on the screen, drag a box, and click Create a Fence here. Give it a title, whatever you want to title it, and then you can drag icons to it. It's really handy to keep things organized, and my computer's really slow while you're doing this crazy stuff. And also, a little double click will hide it, so you can fit lots and lots of these on the desktop. There's a lot of other features, but if you like this and you need desktop organization, Fences is, you can exclamation point Fences, and it's $5 today on sale. It's usually 10, not too bad for price, but $5. And it's, I'll tell you, with all this, I have it set up so whenever I have new files come in, they go into my new stuff folder here, or stuff I'm working on. Then I can drag them into different, you could see my desktop apps, my games folder. They're all sizable to wherever you want, whatever size you want them. It's really been a big help. Number two, let's get to a couple of the other things. I put a link down below the stream to, with this current version of the map we're working on, that is linked to, and let me start up the game here, now that I moved the icon into a folder that I'll delete later, which is very easy to do as well. But you'll see a FS 2017 files, which doesn't have much stuff in it right now, but a lot of people have been asking on YouTube how to get the mod folder switcher program that I have. So, which is, we'll show you that in a little bit. You probably saw it on my desktop, or maybe not. I don't think I opened it yet. But I'm going to keep all the files that I do release to you guys in one location, and they're linked to that FS 2017 files. And anybody that isn't available to watch my stream but is watching on YouTube, just go to twitch.tv/DAJNET. Scroll down when I'm not here, click that button, it'll pull up any files, and the mod folder switcher program is in there, so you can access it that way. There's so much I got to do that I don't often take the time to get all the links everywhere where it'd be useful for everybody or respond to everybody's different requests, so we'll try to get a little more organized as we get going here. But I'm going to load up the map to give you guys a little bit. There's not a lot, whoops, doesn't matter what mods I'm using. Not a lot to show you as far as what I've done, but we'll get working on some more tonight for a little while. And I'm going to try to get to, if I can do this without messing everything up. What's going on here? I hear myself. That was weird. Alright. I'm probably playing back my own YouTube videos. Questions are, somebody was asking, let's see what we have here. Oh, the train. Somebody was asking, Bert was asking a little bit about the trains. On train 3 through the large grain farms, some long straight sections of track. And either way, with the train carts, he also had a question about the flat car for the train. We are having a real problem with the adding train carts to the train actually right now. Finding out that the files won't read from the map correctly, so I don't know if that's going to be doable. We'll get to more of those questions as well. People were asking about the mod folder switcher. If you have some people have ideas out there. If you have an idea that you wanted to, or something you wanted to run by me, I'm always listening. I'm always up for listening to anything you guys have to say if you think something will be cool, but I cannot guarantee anything. We have a pretty big group of people around here that I get a lot of feedback from, and chances are we may have already thought of your idea or something. But hey, if you have something you want to get to me, send it to Alborith, ALBORITH, just like my bot name, at gmail.com. I don't have the time to respond to everybody. Are we going to set up the Trello page again? I will be setting up the Trello page once we get our first version up on the server, which is my main thing right now. I want to get it up there for testing, which means lots of trees to draw in, lots of grass, lots of fields. Once I have that pretty well nailed down so that there's not a ton of changes in the future with those primary components, then we'll start putting together a list of things that have to be done. Right now the list would be so long that it would be crazy once we get other people on it. And yeah, as soon as that goes on, we'll have the same Trello page with the same link. We'll just turn it over to Pleasant Valley 17 and reset it and start gathering information there as well. Alright, so where am I? I am heading out to the outskirts of town. You can see there's tons left to be done here. And I basically have just been working a little bit and not a lot at all on the farm that's going to be over here. So you'll see I've added some new mountains along the road here, a little bit more detail as things come into the game. I'm starting to expand outward from this farm the fields that are here. So you can see a few of them drawn in. They're not marked yet. Somebody also had mentioned how to remove the missions from fields, and we'll do a little bit of that. I haven't gotten to actually marking my own fields yet, but I think it's going to be pretty easy. If you don't want missions, you just don't include the mission information in the field data, so we can show you where that is a little bit later as well. So as I told you guys, I was going to put a barn up on the top of the hill, and this is kind of where it's going to go, right where it is. I didn't even change the links to that new barn yet to make sure we have a new one. I got to do that a little bit later too. Put in some extra buildings, and just really I got the house. Oh, see, I got to move that. That's one of the things when you have objects. We're going to have to move my driveway because the placeable object is there. So we're going to loop that driveway a little bit further around and test that out later too, I guess. So, but I like to have a farmhouse on each of the places in this place. So you have a place to park your pickup truck, you know, and get out and take a walk. So, yeah, but having that barn there, I think we just have to extend the driveway out and around it a little bit. That'll work. So, this is where I've been started. Last video we showed you how we're going to do some of the terrain. Let me grab the terrain roller thingy that we had last week as well. Get some cash. Some cash, because this is really something that I always wanted to do. We never could find a way to do it, and now that it's here and I've got so much of the map done, I'm going to be adding a lot more of this in as we could show you. Let's pick a pretty fast tractor here, something good, but not too big. I like the MF 8700. And did I get enough money out? Just enough for that. Okay. I need more cash. And the roller, the miscellaneous category, the field roller. Where are we miscellaneous? We're going to grab one of those. Alright. DJ Insomnia can finally watch the stream again, and KJB Farmer, thanks for coming along. Yeah, it's great to see you guys. We have a long way to go. Somebody asked me where did I get my blank starter map on the YouTube video, the YouTube links. I did not. If you go to creating a 4X starter map video that I put up on YouTube, I show you how to basically create a map out of Goldcrest Valley. And even though it is a 4X starter map, you can stop and delete all the items after we first make it into a single size, but I go through the whole process. And that I did it this way for me. You can find lots of blank starter maps out there. I know a lot of them don't work, but I did go do a whole tutorial walkthrough on how to do the blank starter map. It's been a long time coming. Well, I've been waiting. I needed the break. I am really psyched, as you could say. Yeah, I can't even talk. I'm so darn tired. But we've been working on this thing probably hundreds of hours already. And it hasn't made it to our server yet, but you're going to notice a lot more detail going into this map probably with the landscape and stuff than any other one that I've done in the past. And it is based, again, sort of like off of the Pleasant Valley PV17 map where we had Bjornholm up in a corner. Well, this one has Goldcrest in the middle, which took quite a bit to restore Goldcrest to the way it was supposed to be. It's not 100% exact, but and then we made modifications in there as well. And this one is going to expand on that with all this new area outside. So up to the top of the hill we'll go, and I do have to do I kind of scribbled this in pretty quick. But one of the things we always wanted to do is be able to create our own roads. You could see the grass here, and we discussed this a little bit last week, but you're going to find a lot more areas of this type of grass. And you'll notice that the underneath the grass is a little bit darker. It is actually a grass field planted, so you could keep it there and it's not going to be marked as a field. It's going to be a field, but it's not going to have field markers. So you can fertilize it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can actually see it better in the distance where it stretches to this whole section up here. But it is that way so you guys can create the owner of this farm, if you're going to do it individual owner or if you're on your own. So you can kind of create your own little bit of roads and stuff by just grabbing this roller. And it will take some practice. I'm going to kind of scribble them out, but just lower the roller down and it removes the field. Oh, I'm on the edge of the grass. But you can see this whole section can be restored right back to dirt. All the way down. So we could put a road in here if we want to. Chill Will, I'm doing very good. Yeah, I hope it's definitely worth the wait. So you can see you'll be able to have much more. I always wanted to be able to make roads and let you guys do a lot more creativeness. And there's a big section, so you might want to. You can replant it if you mess up, replant grass and do it all over again with the roller. But you might want to build a barn in here, for instance, and clear out a little bit of a section for that barn and not ever have to worry about the grass growing back through. You most likely will have to clear some trees in these areas too, but you can see it's literally we're creating roads. In hindsight, I wish I had done the whole map like this, but then again, I have to think about the implications of doing something like that. But there are going to be several areas and where as you're expanding your farm, maybe you want to put greenhouses up here on the hill. You can design it any way that you want. I'm not lifting the roller or anything. I'm just kind of doing it pretty quick. And build your own little areas. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. Let's see. I can plant sugar beets on it, so Dave yells at me. Yeah, you can. You could plant here. You could harvest this grass and then cultivate it and put a field here if you want, but it's one of the places underneath that will have the dirt texture where you can return it to completely dirt and build something. Build your own little town up on the hill behind your house once you expand for your greenhouses or whatever. A garage maybe. So wanted to show you guys that. I'm not going to finish that little area up because we got a lot to do. So this whole area all the way along the top of the hill, as well as down here, I haven't planted the grass yet, but you could see in the distance, as you want to expand your farm area, you'll be able to do the same thing down here on this farm as well. Just we got to paint underneath this with. This is actually returning it to grass, so I do have to put the dirt texture underneath this whole section. So remind me of that one. Didn't even get that far yet. So we got a couple fields. Been doing a lot of just a little bit of painting the roads around. I mentioned the other day that I extended this road across from the other side. What did I do there? I don't know, but looks like we might have to fix it up a little bit. It goes right over to where the main distribution center on the map is going to be eventually. So this farm is actually going to be pretty darn close to the main distribution center. And that is the area that we're going to be working in tonight. Quite a bit. G-Man Green, thank you for the follow. My Thanksgiving was completely awesome. I hope yours was as well. Tiring. But I come from a very large family. One of 9 children, my mom and dad, and all of us but one who was going to be there, but his daughter got sick, made it home for Thanksgiving, which is about 4 hours from where I am, and we had a great time. One family couldn't make it out of the nut, all of us, but all our children were there and everything, so it was really a lot of fun. And I did a lot of the painting on the roads, but yeah, this is where we're working. We got a lot of railroad bridges, lots of stuff. Let's get into the editor and see if I can find some more of these comments while I'm doing that on the YouTube page. Questions, comments. Get a lot of comments. A lot of awesome comments you guys send along. Let's see if we can see if there's any questions. Good to see you back. Well, we always get those. But yes, thanks. I'm glad I'm here. If I can find... This is so tough. It's like, alright, previously read. See, everything's in my previously read. Here we go. Can you explain in detail how we put BGAs on the map as well as the... Continue on reading. Modifications to the XML files. You duplicated the original BGA, and you get the following error. Error add-on create loaded object with duplicate field saved ID BGA. Very simply, we did this in a previous video, but if you missed it, I will show briefly. If you need more detail, refer to one of the, it was like a couple videos ago. I did post the last 3 today, so it's probably in one of those, and as you were asking. But to create an additional BGA like we have here, it's very simple. Copy the original one, use the parts you need, but you definitely need this BGA bunker 4. You'll see right here on the index. You need to give it a new index name. So I have it labeled BGA Bunker 4. I also have Bunker 5 because all the farms are getting their little BGAs. Not all of them, but several of them. That is number 1. Make sure you have BGA Bunker 4 on the tip trigger. Not for Bunker 4, but just give it a unique name from any other name that you have. in the map, and also on this biogas plant facility, which was copied over from the original. We just kept the parts that we wanted. You are going to find, if I can find it here, let's see, Silo King, Fill Planes, nope, it's not there. Oh, it's right here. If you highlight the main group where you have all these bunker plane index, everything in here, every item needs a save ID, and the original one just uses BGA, and it doesn't have it listed. You need to go into your user attributes and type in exactly SAVE, lowercase, capital I and a D. So it's save with a ID with a capital I on ID, and set it as a string field, and then it'll appear up here as save ID, and then just give that a unique name as well, and that's what it's going to refer to in the XML files and the save ID. So it's pretty for your save game, it needs that save ID. We'll get a little bit into that once those two things are done, because I know this is a complicated process. Let me load up the map here. You have also your map01 XML file. You will edit that with your notepad. Let me drag it off my other screen. Now, number one, BGA bunker is the original one that was here. All these other ones I added in, so it was just simply copying this and, excuse me, pasting it down below and giving it that unique name that we gave it for the index that is in the map on your tip trigger, which is right here. So if you notice on my tip trigger 1, as I pull it up here, or tip triggers maybe, where is it? I know it was here a minute ago. User attribute. Oh, my user attributes wasn't scrolled down. There we go. The index BGA bunker 4 with the underscore bunker 4 is exactly, has to be exactly the same as the name right here. So you just give it the proper index name so it matches what's in the map file. The farm BGA 4 is the station name. You can name it whatever you want. So you can name it Happy Farm if you want to. Happy Farm BGA. You name it whatever, that doesn't matter. But that needs to be in there. And the save ID is used because I never really explained. No, I don't want to update the update. Yeah, download. But if you go into a save game, Documents, My Games, Farming Simulator 2017. I only have one save game and it's the default one, but we should be able to find the IDs. If you'll see a career vehicles section, we scroll down to the bottom of those career vehicles, and then you will see attachment section and then the items section. Below the items section, which items are bales and placeable objects, and I have a lot on my map, yes, you will see a lot of these on create loaded objects, and you will find where they record the save ID. So this save ID for BGA in my save game is the original BGA. Bunker silos 005 are the bunker silos, and it's where it saves all the information. That's why everything needs a unique save ID added to it for the 2017 version, which makes it very complicated for some of the modders right now, because a lot of the mods like the UPK doesn't write these save IDs, so a lot of stuff is not saving properly on server. We got a long way to go. But all your information saved in the vehicle save game XML file. And I hope that explained it a little bit if you want to see the whole process. But that will get you error on create loaded object with duplicate save ID, because the save ID is not there and it's using the BGA original BGA one, the default one, you have to actually, that's one thing where you have to add the actual field. And I hope that answers Gigabyte Giga's question on that one. And let me see if I can find another one here real quick. It's complicated because I wish I could just get all of the messages from Google Plus in one little place on my. I imagine they're in my wherever I have it registered. Let's try down here. You'd leave the field size as is in the core map in the single player and develop the area. The field sizes have been moved a little bit. I thank you for all your suggestions, but they're very, very similar in the original map, which is the whole Goldcrest Valley. But we're making some minor modifications just to, like, this is actually the only field I changed right here by the cow farm, and it's because we made this into its own little farm with its own silo, which I do have to fix by leveling the land because it's not working. So before I forget to do that, we'll jump in there with the leveling tool. Let's see what we have for questions on here. Hey KW, Bad Touch is in the house. Good to see you. Where you been? KW, thanks for dropping by. Andy, sorry for the delay with the tunnels. Hey, no hurry. As you can see, we have a long time to go. Long time to go. So I am not in a hurry. Just the fact that you're doing is them for me is a huge unexpected favor. So I definitely appreciate that. Let me get a ground height value by left control R on the ground, and we're going to use the replace function, and I'm going to level this out so it actually works and do a little bit of landscaping because I can't get my darn vehicle over the ramps if they're too angled up. So you can see I'm kind of leveling things out around the ramp edges, and then you just have to go back with your smooth tool and make sure you don't have any really weird ridges on the outside. We'll fix that problem. I'm going to fix a few little problems that I noticed, just so you know. One of the things when you're doing it, if you come across things you know need to be done, you'll forget them if you don't do them right away, that's for sure. I do all the time. So tonight I'm going to try to backtrack a little bit and get some things fixed up. And again, it's very hard to tell sometimes in the game if everything is exactly right, but that looks pretty good. Also, over here in this tunnel, I noticed I had a couple grass spots, which are easy to miss because you gotta go through a tunnel. But you can see grass in the road, so we'll turn on our foliage tool and set it to grass and subtract the grass from the tunnel, so that's not in there anymore. And continue on with our field drawing over here. This field here underneath this whole section needs to have dirt texture underneath, as we just found out. So I'm going to go to, well, I'm going to use the replace so I know I don't miss any. It's going to be hard, but we're going to try not to miss anything. Normally I do this before I put the grass down, but I wasn't thinking. So we have the rough dirt on replace, and I got to make sure I draw underneath this whole field, which is kind of hard to see if you missed any areas, so that it's, so when you plow this grass out, it actually returns it to a dirt texture. You could have it return to whatever textures you want under there. We could do asphalt, gravel, but I'm going to leave it dirt underneath there for now. Make sure I hope I hit everything. We'll find out down the road when we're in testing if I missed. And then it's as simple as just repainting the grass back on the top, which has to be add. I don't know if I ever mentioned that, but you can't replace with a foliage texture. And we're going to add grass to this whole section here, so it is technically a field, and but you can take it right out and make it whatever you want. Is there a limit to how many trees you can have? That is a really good question. There never really was a limit to how many trees you could have. I know that some people have had way too many trees in one transform group in the past, and it caused issues. So just try to break them up a little bit so they're not all. And really the limit for me comes down to performance. You where you want your map to be performance-wise. I will keep track as I'm putting trees on the map on how those areas react when you're driving through them. If you keep your frame rates up there, if you're not having frame rate issues, then you can get a little bit thicker. A really, really thick forest in the past on last year's had caused some issues, but this year it seems that so far I haven't had any issues. So just be in mind of your frame rates when you do a test on the map to make sure. But there is no theoretical limit set. It's just going to be you might run into a couple bugs if you overdo a number of objects in a transform group, for instance, or performance issues might start dropping, getting lower frame rates when you're driving through a forest. We're just going to fill in the grass around here. Sometimes it's not very easy to work in small areas with a big square brush, but the round brush usually gets the edges pretty good. And if you get too much, just delete it and go back. I don't want to cover up the rock all the way, but this will blend right into the other grass as well. I don't know how well you guys can see me planting grass, but we have tons of grass to plant, so grass it will be. This is the place where I kind of messed up just a little bit with covering up the road. I want it to actually show the actual road that's there. We'll get down the sides a little bit better. And once we get all this grass and fields drawn, it's back to planting a bunch of trees. I have a pretty big forest that we could plant across the street as well. It's going to start coming together. The key thing is to just try to, well, the way I do it, it's pretty much freeform. What you saw the whole process that I used for creating the landscape and getting it to a starting point where now I'm doing basically like steps of more detail, and hopefully you got to get the base stuff in first. Definitely got to get the base stuff done. And then when you get into extra objects on the map, factories and stuff, you got to keep a close eye on how the map is working with your resources and everything. So hopefully we'll get some type of script pretty soon that shows gives us an opportunity to make some factories and stuff. And the multi-fruit script I still have not seen it yet. Hopefully that will come out as well pretty soon. I know that they said it was finished and in testing. They might have run into some server bugs, so we'll see how that works out as well. Does field definition creation process seem the same in FS17? You've noticed the Giants added some fields like max fields, status partitions to their database. So maybe they are cutting in on my action. They do not work the same, but the biggest change there, the bad touch, and good. We'd love to see a work out field definitions. Actually, we've had another question about field definitions as well. So let's jump into a field definition file real quick. It's something that I haven't started marking, but if I was gonna mark my own field, I'm gonna jump over to what I think where I'm gonna start marking field numbers, which would be all the way across the map, these new ones that I drew in. And we'll start with me trying to remember which way is north. Field definitions. We got to pull up the field definitions here. Let me close down some of these. They get lost in all these menus. Fields. Here's our fields. Let's grab any old field for now so I can just get the bearings of how they're doing it here. Field 23. Field dimensions. I want one with just simple corners for now. Let's find one that has, alright, just 3 corners so I know which corner one is going to be. Take a quick look. If I'm right, alright, so they have it marked bottom left, top left, and top right. So we're going to do a little L shape, bottom left, top right for our field definitions this year. I think it was backwards from a little bit different position, but just make sure we get those right. You'll notice here while we're doing a field definition, and let's see, we left off, there's 31 fields in the original, and I'm going to copy field 31, just duplicate it, you'll see it appear again. We created a new one right here, but I need to rename it to field 32 to add a number 32 in. Alright, so now we have a new set of definitions for field 32. The field by trigger you need to place where you want the one of the critical things about the field by trigger this time is to have it close to where you're going to start a mission so that it's pretty easy to get your offset for the mission. I'm going to put it right here because this is the area, little dirt area I left for the mission for this field. That will be our field by trigger. Next we have the field dimensions. I'm going to just grab corner 1, corner 0, 1, 1, whatever it is, and left control. And this is a pretty easy process here. Left control B, find close to the corner, and it will put the marker right on the corner of the field. We're going to grab corner 2 because we know that was the bottom left corner. We're going to go up to the top one, and obviously it's not the same field that we're marking, so but it's close. We're going to bring that one right up here. Mark corner 2 there and corner 3, so you're basically an L-shaped field. Will be this corner over here. And I'm not going to mark a bunch of them tonight, but we'll do one because a lot of people have been asking. So we have our 3 corner markers. The other component is the field map indicator. That is where your number is going to show up on the field, and I like to have mine in the center of the field, so I'll zoom out and left control B, click the field map indicator, and it put it in the center, and we're good to go there. One of the things you want to make sure is that this box here is not under, especially if you edit your terrain. The field by trigger, sometimes you can get it buried, or you guys have seen my maps in the past where I've done a little bit of smoothing after the fact and you had to jump up in the air to get those triggers. Once it's placed, if you do any work around here, make sure that you guys can reach the little map indicator as well. Alright, so that's really what there is, and we'll test this out in a minute and see exactly what happens. But that is how you mark a field. But in the field definition for field 32, you're going to see a couple new fields. Number 1 is the field area. That is the number of hectares. 7.014. I'm not even going to worry about that because I'm going to show you a couple things in a minute. Field job spawn vehicle direction. -1. Not 100% sure what that is, but well, I am sure, but I'm not exactly sure. It's off of the center of the the spawn area, it's going to spawn at -1. So my guess is it's going to be a little bit offset in one of these 4 directions. We're going to have to figure that one out. So it'll help you line up your vehicle spawn. There is also, if I can find one on one of the previous ones, they don't use it on all the fields, but let's see if I can find it. There is a rotation field angle. You see there's a field angle 90. If we need to add that field angle, we can add the field angle into here by just typing in FIELD capital ANGLE, and I'm not even sure what type of field it is, but I'm guessing it is an integer whole number. Let's add it. I'm going to leave it at 0. What this is going to do is going to basically set the rotation of the vehicles as they spawn in for the mission. Now, if you were going to create one without missions, my guess is just remove your field angle, your field job spawn direction, and the NPC index, and it should be the way it was before. I have not tested that, but I feel if you're going to put the fields in, the missions are pretty easy to create anyway. Put in the map and let your users decide if they want to do missions or not. It's a completely optional thing, so it doesn't do any harm adding it in there. The NPC index is actually a number for the file of the farmer that owns the field. So you can literally, and I will do on this farm, is all the fields that belong to this farm over here are going to be marked with the same number. I actually have a list here on my desktop somewhere. Let's see. And I went down and I wrote down all the farmers' names that are in the map currently. Yeah, I can't find it right now, but it's here somewhere buried in this junk. And I'm going to make it so, we pick up, and then I'm going to name these farms like, for instance, the Johnson farm, which Mr. Johnson is my name, but also one of the farmers is Johnson in the game. So if this is the Johnson farm, all these fields are going to have his NPC index number for that farmer. So you'll know if you're running this farm, and any field you do on this farm will start lowering the price for every field that this farm owns. The highest index number I've seen, I think, was somewhere around 21 or something like that. There's one there that's 10. I'm not 100% sure, but my guess is you can experiment with the different numbers and find which farmers you like. 13. There's several different numbers for the different farmers. That one's owned by 10 as well. So that is what the field NPC index number is. Just make sure you don't go higher than what's available. It might be 18 that's the top. I'm not 100% sure. Now, one of the cool features of this, and why I did not show you, I used to have my formula for setting the field area in proper hectares. Well, with the latest version of the Giants editor, 7.03 I think is where they started it, but 7.05 is the stable edition. They added scripts in for mapping. Notice it says 7.014. What you have to do is go up to your fields here, highlight the whole field group, and you can do this now or you can do it as many times as you want, but just make sure you do it when your final map is done. And then run script map set field sizes, and it will run a script that quick. And we'll go down to find my field here, field dimensions of field 32 right here. Was 7.014. It's actually 7.594 is the field dimension. So it automatically relabels based on what your fields are designed. You don't have to do the math or do the work. It knows it's how many hectares. What a huge time saver that is for anyone. Hours can be done on a map this size. And next, there's one other feature that's going to help you guys for creating fields. And someone had mentioned it's difficult with the corners and the multiple corner fields and stuff, and setting the markers and how confusing it is. Well, they added another script in here. Again, we'll highlight the field, top field where it says just fields. All the fields are in that group. And we're going to run the PV17 map toggle render field areas. And give it a minute. You might have to move. Okay, so we rendered, and it's giving us a blue outline of where the field will appear. So you could see if you have your field marked correctly, which is, you can see these aren't marked yet over here. I haven't marked any of them. But when you have those fields that have funny corners and you got to use multiple field boxes to get the angles right, we'll show you one over here, for instance, and how they overlap. But for the missions to work correctly and know the whole field, you can see this is one of those fields they used a couple different boxes to get the right proper angle. I don't, honestly, that stuff is still so confusing to me with the multiple field angles. I'm starting to get an idea how it works, but this is going to be a great tool to figure out how it works by looking at the previous fields and trying to duplicate what they have done with how they piece the angles until you get these nice lines on your field edge to show you that, yeah, it comes right up for the mission and it's exactly shaped the way it has to be. There's several of those around. Overlapping. The overlapping doesn't matter. It's the outer edge that matters if the mission's going to do the entire field. This one's a little bit short on this edge. I overpainted it because basically I tried to restore the fields to exactly the way they were. So I'll trim this edge down to which is basically grabbing a small circle. I have to do a few minor adjustments. Grab my, wrong box, terrain detail layer. And now that I know where it's actually going to draw, we can kind of trim down the field to where it should be recognized so we don't have too much overhanging when the mission is done on this field. So you can literally see where the combine is going to detect that there's a field here, which is a very, very big help. And this edge isn't too bad. I mean, you don't want it to be underneath too much either, you know. Then you'll have the combine overhanging the area, but I think there was just a little bit too much on the edge overhanging here. And I think I might be taking away too much, but we'll find out when we do the tests later on once we get it up on gameplay server. Yeah, I think it's really tricky. But we'll just take off one row here. But it will give you an idea what the mission is going to require to, whoops, I can see I definitely removed too much under there, to get that area done. So toggle your field markers on. You can see them all over the place. Square fields are much easier to use. You can see the different viewing angles. The blue is kind of drawn in funky because it's like floating or something. But it will definitely help you know at least that you got the right shape done. And when you're done with that, you just go to the same thing, scripts, map, toggle render field areas back off, and you don't have to look at them all the time. So there you go. That is your field lesson for this evening. You notice that their calcs are very close to field status calcs. You're like 0.07 less hectares than theirs, so close enough. Yep, I mean, that is pretty awesome. I said something about not allow or not allow missions. Yes, I did, but that is not related to, as far as I know, if you didn't want a mission on a field, you would probably delete the information in the field definitions that are mission related. I haven't tested it. I would say just put it in there and let people do the missions. But the field angle, field area, and NPC index, you would just delete these 3 by clicking the big X's. I'm not going to do it. But what I said previously about allowing and not allowing missions is actually not even related to the fields itself, but it's related to my multi-fruit script. In every fruit that you add, you can allow the fruit to be a mission compatible fruit. So there's a new Boolean value that says that you can set in, and I can pull that up. I'm very, very rough at this scripting stuff, so I do have it. Let me see if I can even find my crazy script that I've been working on that needs a lot of help because I'm not a script writer. Multi-fruit utility Lua. Because I do have a lot of information here that I do know and a lot that I don't. Like the category IDs, it has to be a number. I have no idea what those numbers stand for. So I left it as one. Here we're registering sugarcane on this line. New fields are the category ID. Number 1 is working for registering the fruit. I don't know if it's registering it properly. That is one of those things that I have to still figure out what the ID numbers mean. So there it is. Needs seeding, true. Allows seeding, true. Use seeding with, false. The seeding with is, if it's false, it's going to use the standard. When you seed it, it's going to use the standard texture. If it's true, it's going to use the potato texture underneath it. So if it's potato or one of those root crops, just change that to true and you get the other texture underneath it. Direction snap angle I have set to 0. Another new field, and those are all previously from the previous version. Another new field is aligned to sun, and I labeled them here like I did that so I could tell exactly what it was doing. And these fruits do register in my map, so it's kind of cool, but I still can't get the combines and stuff to work. So anyhow, aligned to sun equals false. That has to do with the sunflowers turning and facing the sun. I guess you could make any fruit aligned to the sun, but it wouldn't be noticeable on anything unless it was a big flower like a sunflower. So yeah, I'll probably have them all set to false. Then you have the minimum harvest state, max harvest state, cut state, allow partial growth, price per liter, liters per square meter, seed usage per square meter. Now it used to have price, what was it called? This is just a renamed field. The price table means it's going to show up in and use the price table for selling and everything in the game. Now it's called price table. I forget what it was called before, but it's just a replacement name of that field. And HUD overlay file name and small HUD they're the same. Show on map equals true. So this here is the part that needs to be set to true if you want to have it show on the overlay maps that's in the game now properly. As you page through, it'll show it up on the the field maps. That's a new field as well, so you can actually hide them. Like say it was a fruit that you didn't want to show on the map, you put it to false and it would not appear with all the other ones when you're drawing those maps to see if they're ready or whatever. Mass per liter is the weight of the actual product. Right now I don't know what values to use. Again, I'm not the script writer and this is all new stuff to me, but I did get this much to work. And then the surface angle, I've copied somebody else's 45 degrees. 45 is the surface angle. Excuse me, I moved that out of the way. But here's the field right here that is new. And it's used for job. And these have to be in the order exactly like it. You don't need these little indicators. I just put them up there on the above line so I know exactly what has to be in order. So it's true, true, false, 0, false. That's the input with all the commas is the important part. But there is the new show on map and then the mass per liter and the use for job. If you set it to false, sugarcane would not appear in any of the missions. Because it's set to true, you will see that on a lot of the mission fields as well. So it will used to be price multiplier. No, the price multiplier. Yeah, I don't know. There's a price multiplier built into sell points. Yeah, whatever it was. It's price table. You're probably right. Something like that. Price multiplier is done on the sell points, but the price table is basically that it shows up in your store as a, if it's at a sell point, you need to have that set to true for it to be able to show up in those stores. If it's set to false, it's not going to. So use for job set to true will mean that I can use sugarcane in missions, and if once everything else is set correctly, it will pull it in. There's something wrong with probably my ID or fruit type that it's not recognizing the equipment that I need to harvest sugarcane currently, and therefore I'm not getting the mission available if it's a sugarcane field currently. Another thing is the register fruit type growth has changed, and you set here, it's separate from the register fruit type. There's a whole new section, register fruit type growth. Name sugarcane, number, growth state. Withering states is actually not the number of withering state. It is basically what state is the withered state. It's 9. That, as far as I figured out, that's what's working for me. I want it to wither in 9. The number of growth states would be 8. The growth state time, I'm still trying to figure out exactly, but I think it's still using the old mathematical formula, believe it or not. The 2.4 E plus 007 seems to be working to get the full 1-day crop. Growth state time. And then you have the reset spray. That is critical for missions. Do you want or even for fertilizing, do you want it to reset the fertilizer back to, so it can be done again after each growth state? If you don't have that set to true, it's not going to reset the fertilizer so you can fertilize it again. And I'm not 100% on these either, but ground type changed growth state 1 and ground type changed, I have them both set to 1. I'm waiting for somebody to come out with a lot more knowledge, but I know those fields are there and they do something, and all I can do is seed my my sugarcane right now. Once we get more fruits in the map, we will check that out a little bit more. Let's go to, I didn't change anything there. I'm going to save the map. We'll jump in and we'll check out the field I marked and see what happened. Now, regardless of what comes out on it, it should have a mission on it because we have it all set, ready for the missions are all included. We have all the mission. I don't know what mission will appear, but as long as it's not sugarcane, we'll be able to see how it spawns in as well when we do the mission, and we might have to make some adjustments to it. Now, I just lost complete train of what my next thought was, believe it or not. You might need to check the growth states. That's a whole new section there. For the growth states and growth times and everything, it's a little bit crazy. And they can there's a lot more detail, but again, it's a lot more flexible this time around as well. So you guys will learn. I think it's a longer learning process. If Giants would give us an idea of what the heck they were talking about half the time, it would be a lot easier than just giving us, here's the values. Figure out what they mean. That's the way I feel. Okay, so what is a field ID? Does it correspond to, or the category ID? Is it correspond to the fruit type, whether it's a grain, because they've added all these new categories in, and if I could find my list real quick, I did find out what the categories are, but I don't know if I can. I got a notebook that's like 100 pages long with all this information. As I find it, I write it down, and then I have to flip through and find the right page. So let's see if I can find it here. I need a secretary. Anybody? Anybody want to be a secretary? No, it's not there. I don't want to hold you guys up while I'm flipping through a notebook here, but if I can find it quick enough, I can run down the new categories for you. And it doesn't seem like I'm finding it here. Problem when you go away for a week and you come back, or even a few days, and I come back, it's like, where the heck did you go? Not there, not there. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm not going to find it right now. But there is a whole new... There's grain as a category. Whoops, I don't want that map. Root crops is another category. I'm wondering if that's what has to be set up for the category IDs. I'm not sure. But they're giving us names and not integers, which is what I need, and I don't know which corresponds to which. Next thought was pie. Okay, maybe that was yours. Yeah, I had enough pie, thanks, over the week, the last couple days. Had 3 months to that release date. All right, so let's go out and check out that field that we marked just for the heck of it. You know, see what happened. I have no idea the angles and the offsets exactly 100% how they work, because I really haven't. This is the first field I marked other than what was inside here. I have withering turned on, as you can see, because we have withered fields already. Start of the game. You will see, and very often when I start a fresh save game, that if we can take a turn up here real quick, it might have changed. Adding a new field might have changed this completely, but every time I restart a clean save game, the field up here has been randomly selected to be a sugarcane field. Let's see if it still is now that I added a new field. It is, but it's in the very early growth stage. So that the sugarcane does appear, and it does grow, and everything as according to plan, but I can't harvest it yet. Let's go back out to that other field and see what it put on there, and if we can do a mission. Now, if I have an issue with the missions running the added crops as we add them on, then I will just label them in the startup file as for field missions, turn it to false, and then it won't be an issue. You just won't be able to do the extra crops as missions. But it's kind of nice to be able to do it, so I'm leaving it the way it is right now. So here we are going up to this farm, and we're going to the field that we marked and make sure everything's right. We should see the field number 32. Since apparently you need to test the growth state now, you can print out some variables that they use. If you could do that, figure out what these category IDs, you guys are much more smarter than me when it comes to that crazy stuff. And I have no idea what the category ID responds to, but that I think is why my darn thing isn't working. I do see, which field did I mark? It's up there, way up there at the top. Yep. I could see something planted on it, and you can see the number 32 on the mini map down below, even though it's not an accurate mini map yet. No sense of drawing that till we get a lot closer. But you can see that the field number 32 crop has been planted on the field for the mission, and let's see what we get when we go over to actually activate this mission. It's one of the standard crops, so it should give me a mission. Where the vehicles appear and stuff is entirely going to be interesting to find out. Alright, so we obviously have an angle issue. We'll have to turn the field angle 90 degrees, come back in and see if we're facing the right way, because we want to be facing downfield in that direction right there. So I'm going to jump out real quick. Once you figure out one of these, you can kind of probably remember what angles they are. But on my field 32, that would be awesome, FS. Or the bad touch, whatever. Yeah. That would be super if I could figure that out. That might go a long way to why my fields aren't being harvested the way I have them set up. So we're going to go back to the field definition of field 32, and I'm going to try to turn the field angle to 90, like so. And then I'm just going to save it again. And notice how I clicked off of the box into another one, because sometimes if you just type the 90 and you leave the cursor in that box, it doesn't actually update the save file. At least it didn't last year. I always do that. Make sure I get my cursor out of that box if I'm just doing a minor change, so it updates the information in that attributes box. I can't tell you the number of times that I've gone in and didn't do that to realize that the save I did didn't save the actual, and I'm like, why isn't it working? And then I close down the file, load it back up, and see that that change didn't take place. So we'll save it again, and we'll go in and see if that field angle adjusts that little thing to the right direction, or if we went the wrong way. Alright, we're saved. Try it one more time. Yeah, the growth states are crazy. Everything's a little bit different this time, but you know, they're giving you more options. I think that's a pretty good thing, if we can figure out what the heck they are. I will say that like I said before, I went away for Thanksgiving. There was notes on Marhu's forum that they had this multi-fruit script done. That's why I haven't put a lot of effort and stuff into it, because there's so much to be done. I let you guys figure some of the other stuff out, and if I get done with everything that I know I have ready to do, and I still need that information, then I'll look harder into figuring it out myself, is the way I usually look at it. Or if I'm really bored of doing painting grass or trees and need a break, then I'll go back to it. But yeah, I like to tinker with it to see if I can figure something else out that other people haven't. But I got a lot of work to do. So off to that field again. And I'm watching chat, so I'll probably get in an accident here, see if anything pops up there. I have the teleport mod installed, but it's not, I don't know what keys, I'm terrible at that. You guys do that too? Download a mod? It's supposed to be used to be like left control T, but it's not popping up the menu, so it must have changed the key bindings to teleport around the map, or somebody else, you know, I don't know what it is. So I can't fly there yet. Stop texting and driving. Is it F11? Well, F11 isn't doing anything. I have no idea. Weird. You know, I might have to just look and see what they have it mapped to. Again, with my extra controller, it could be all messed up. I'll figure it out eventually. But F11 isn't doing it for me, KW. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't activate it. It's a possibility too. Well, the point is to teleport with the vehicle. It has to be in the mods folder. That's probably more likely what it is. I think it's in there, but who knows? Alright, let's see what happens this time when we start the mission. It did not turn it. Well, then how the heck? Oh, you know what? We did this before. You know what it is? I know what it is. Because I did this once before. Deja vu just hit me. Let's go back to the map. And then we'll check the next time if the teleport mod is in there and activated. But where is that field that we're doing? Way over here. And you know what? It's as simple as... So I'm not 100% sure what the field angle does then. I really don't have a clue. But let's grab the field marker for field... I'm not sure which one this is going to be. There's the marker. My guess would be that I have to do either on the one of these things. It's either going to be that or on the field dimensions, but I think it's the field marker, the field number, that I just need to... Well, let's see what some of the other ones did. Maybe we can find out on one of these. If there's a translation value... Alright, that says field angle 90. That one doesn't have a field angle. Let me see what the field dimensions has. Come on. What I'm looking for is any rotation on the XYZ values on any of the markers, because that is probably how we have to turn the field. Make sure it's not rotate. What? Yeah. Map indicator. Nope. There's got to be a reason and a way to spin that little thing around, but I'm thinking that it's the either the field dimensions somewhere where it rotates. I have to rotate the marker. I wouldn't think it would be the field dimensions though. I would think it would have to be the field number itself, because the field dimensions would screw up all the little X's. And is it in the buy trigger itself? Maybe it is. Trigger icon for buying the field. I'm not seeing any indicators, but we'll give that a try. It has to have... Oh! Whoop, there was something there. What was it in? I just saw a 1 in the trigger icon, maybe? Translate Y. Oh, it's just putting it up 1, not it's translate. Alright, let's try rotating a couple things here and give it another try. Where are we? Field 32. See, if I rotate that thing, it's going to be going all in a circle. The buy trigger is where the thing is linked to, so let's try just rotating. Well, yeah, there's a rotate on there already, so Let's rotate that to 90 degrees and see if that changes the direction. Oh, was it rotated field 1, 270? You guys are good. Catch my things. But yeah, so I'll check that out. But once I'm done saving here, field by trigger, make sure I have it the same if it's the whole trigger. Come on, finish saving. I think it just crashed it. No, it's taken a while though, that's for sure. Did I freeze up? This is a long time for this to save, that's for sure. There we go. Couldn't calculate. Cannot. All right, field by trigger. Yep, you're right. Rotated Y on 270, so I'm pretty sure that will be it. But let's check it out and see if, thanks to CFIS. Let's see if we're at the right angle. So there you have it. I'm pretty sure just because the other ones rotated that's what will spin our vehicles around. So we're facing the right direction. Now, the other number might have to actually match it, the field angle. I'm not sure what the heck the deal is with that. Oh, I forgot to... I forgot to check the teleport mod. Oh well. Maybe next time. Let's take a ride over. Bigfoot Bob 13, thank you for the follow, and I apologize if I missed anybody. Apparently these follow alerts and stuff are just not working again. What the heck is up with that? I had it all working for like one day. Yeah, that's what happens with every mod though, it seems. All my maps are obsolete now. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the last one, Rivers, even though we just gave you a couple months on it. Even Can you yeah, you know, like I said, you guys are good at this. I don't play the game as much as you guys. I'm too busy working on the map. So yeah, I know there's ways to jump around the map. I haven't quite figured them all out yet. I do things the hard way. But I also like to test drive them, you know? See how things are coming out. That's how I notice a lot of things that I mess up along the way, is by where jumping in and taking a ride every now and then. Look at this, we have a field. One more time. This time, if you notice, it's the same crop, different growth state. They do that. Alright, so we have accomplished half of what we're trying by getting it actually facing the right direction. Now we just need to figure out how to move it left and right so that we aren't off so far to the right there. And that is going to be the offset number, I'm pretty sure. But we definitely want to move it left. Let's see, let's mess with the offset number and see if we can get it to move. Well, you know my luck. I got a 50-50 chance of moving it left or right. Offset 0. It's an offset from where that field marker is. Offsetting it -1. Well, let's see what happens. We're going to mess with it and see what happens. A lot of them don't offset. Whoops, I just closed my fields down. And others offset just a little bit. Let's do field 32, please. We'll try the 0 and see what it does. We know we were very well far to the right. The header, they were both right. They were just not in the right place. They're going to appear side by side, and we want to make it move a little bit down so it's more in front of the field and not out in the road. That's all. Field job vehicle spawn direction would probably be 0. Let's try 0 and see what happens. And then if not, we'll do 1 in the other direction. It's all figuring this crazy stuff out. Next year, PV17 release. Yeah, it will definitely be next year. It won't be this year. I honestly cannot give you a time frame for the release or what is going to be. There's a lot of things still up in the air. And it depends on what stage of the map we decide to release it in. You know, I'd rather give you guys as complete a map as possible when we can. But like I said, we're still got too many variables that are beyond my control to give a release date, and a lot of work that needs to be done. So, depending on what happens, we shall see. If we get everything the way we want in the first release, this is my thinking on it right now. As it stands right now, I have no idea when we're going to get the multi-fruit. I think it's coming soon. It would be really great to have it right now, but I don't. So I'm waiting on somebody else for the multi-fruit scripts to come up and to make sure that they work flawlessly, multiplayer, single player, to add all the fruit types. Once that comes along, we'll do tutorials on adding them, but we need to have that stuff and then work on that whole section as well. And that I really would like to see get into the first version, obviously. But that leaves us at where is the ability to add factories and different things like that as well. That could be even further off. And if everything is done and we have new fruit types and all the silos can handle the fruit types and stuff, then... but we still don't have working factories, we'll have a pretty decent large map. And we might do a release at that point, which would be much earlier, and then just do, when the new stuff and the cool stuff comes out, like we always do, a version 2. But if it's out before I get done, then you're going to be waiting probably till the whole project is done, because there's... so it will come out, who knows when, and... it all depends on what we get, you know? There's so many things that we always put in the maps and the cool mods, and they take some... the better stuff takes some time, as you guys well know. And there's so many new cool things that are possibilities this time around that I have a feeling there's... you get mods and released in packages, really. You get... first you get all the... and you guys know this as well. You get a lot of the easy conversions or incomplete conversions and copies of Goldcrest Valley that have been modified and quick maps that are small maps that are done, and you just get a bunch of that stuff in the beginning. No multi-fruit. There isn't a single multi-fruit map out there, I don't think. If there was, I'd be jumping all over it. But I have been away for a few days. I haven't done any searches. But we're starting to get into like phase 1 of the cool stuff, which is people are starting to the UAL script, for example, on Big Daddy's trailer. We're starting to see some more features being transferred over that are good, but as the longer time, the more advanced and difficult mods and stuff, they just are going to take a while, and who knows how long. Alright, so kinda had the right idea, but that was a weird spawning. The header is right. We need the vehicle to spawn behind it somewhere. So it was way off to the right. I think we just need to have it like plus 0.5 or something to be off on the other side, and we should be good. I don't know if you could do 0.5s. But yeah, that was an interesting spawn point for the header. Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. I did not expect that at all. So apparently the header drops in right at 0, right where the marker is, and the vehicle is what we're moving around. So let's try doing a full 1 instead of 0.1. And see what happens this time around. I don't know if we could do 0.5, so let's see what 1 looks like. I don't know because I don't know what the field... I could look that up in the Lua doc and see if it's an integer or a float value, but right here it doesn't actually tell. Actually, I could probably look in the map. I'd have to go down and see if they assigned a field or a float to the field values. If it's an integer or a float. If it's a float, it can be a point, a decimal point. But if it's not, it has to be a whole number. So we'll try 1, see what happens. Play it on the safe side. We could always put 0.5 in, but chances are it could not do anything. But once you figure all this out once, then you'll get a better idea as you go along. And as we add... Oh, what am I doing here? As we add more fields, we'll get it down to exactly where it has to be based on where we drop the little icon. But if you notice, it all spawns off of that little field by icon and then in relation to that. So that's the key point, I think, here. Then figuring everything else out. I still don't know what the field angle field would mean, because that didn't seem to do anything. Alright. Let's go F11. Doesn't do anything. Let's see. We'll head on over one more time, and I think we'll get a pretty good idea of what's going on. So literally, though, if I have it in the right direction, oh, watch out for that sign, then we know we can slide the field start by icon left or right as well, because it's based off of the center of that. They're all different. It all depends on the angle. Those starting fields, yeah, you could check them, but they're kind of, the start areas are in different places, and there are offsets on some and not on others. I really need to know, and unless I go in there and do the same thing as I am with my new field to see exactly how it's popping in, I wouldn't really get an idea. So it should make this is going to tell us either way. Basically what I'm trying to say is if I played the whole game and I found one of those fields that had a marker in a certain place and had an offset, I would be able to tell, but I still don't know where the normal spawn point was off of it. So it's kind of I basically have to follow the same process to figure it out. This should be the last time though. The vehicle was far to the right. I'm guessing it's going to be off to the left, but at least the left is where I want it to be. Not in front of the road, but off in the left area toward this side. So we shall see if I am correct. No, I am not. That is so funny. Well, interesting. Very interesting. All we did was rotate it. We got the right direction, but the field angle has to be messing it up. That has to go back to 0 because the offset is not giving, it's probably giving a front to back. I'm guessing that that's what it is. Just a guess. But that's probably where the field angle comes in. It needs to know the field angle, which way it's moving probably. We'll put the field angle and see if it makes a difference now. It would be perfect if I could drop it back from the backwards, but who knows. Alright, let's do this again and see if I have the teleport mod installed this time. Is that combine a mod? I think that's one of the in-game ones. Alright. Teleport mod in there. Not seeing it. Maybe I dropped it in the wrong spot. Well, apparently that's why it's not working, because I don't think I have it installed. Doesn't appear to be in there. I'll have to find it. I know I downloaded it. I just probably forgot to put it in there. So jumping to a field. You can actually jump to the field markers by clicking on them or something to that effect. Is that what you're telling me? Let's see. If we bring up the menu, we can't, let's see, it's done. Is it this? How do you jump to the field? Oh yeah, field 11. There it was. Ha ha ha. That's so much easier. Alright. That's what I was looking for, but so that's where the field angle does come in. There you go. Then we just got to pull it over. We're kind of... You can align these better. If you want the header to be lined up perfectly with the start of the field, you'd have to slide the marker back and forth. But you guys get the idea for marking a field now. We're actually out of the road and we could start it up. So we figured it out. The field angle definitely has to be there if you're going to mess up the... or doesn't actually, 0 would be normal. And that will just spin things around in funky, weird directions. So, yay. Let's get out of there. Let's get back to work. That was our lesson for tonight. Field angles, field directions. There's so much to learn. So, one thing I noticed is the header was a little bit further to the left than I wanted. So in order to compensate for left to right, I just need to take this marker and move it a little bit this way, and we'll test it again at some other time, but we'll leave it there for now. And we'll have to do all those little adjustments as time goes on. But right now, I want to get back to work on the farm over here. Where are we? Over there. Oh, this is the other farm. I didn't show you guys. I did put a couple fields in on this one. It's still got a little bit of work to do. This one down in the corner, but I think I'm gonna. I got this forest area as well is better mapped out for where this forest is gonna fill in. And I think I'll start dropping some trees in there too, because I'm tired of drawing fields and stuff right now. So I'm going to grab this spruce stage 5 because it's what everybody likes, the big tall ones, and I'm going to start by filling in a lot of stage 5 spruce trees in the forest area. And again, I have the left mouse button held down after I left control B clicked it to here, and with the left mouse button held down I can just keep clicking control anytime I want to place a new tree, and it will rotate it a little bit to give it a different angle, and we will recenter so we have more of the screen. And I do that all the time. I always move the last one I place because it's easier than doing the duplicate process again. So we'll just fill in a lot of these trees in the forest area. Get a lot of the tall ones. So you can get a lot of money. Or wood chips or whatever. And just keep moving around. And I apparently got something really sticky on, too much soda on the control key here. Because, yeah, I don't know what I did. So just randomly place trees. Forests, they kind of grow random anyway. And look at the big areas you got to fill. And we're going to fill it right up with... There will be quite a few spaces. We're going to add some different size ones in, but we do want mostly of the big spruces, so I'm going to just keep duplicating it. I really got to get your guys' points caught up for all the subscribers too. I shall do that. There's busy time, busy time. But make no mistake, yeah, we're gonna have to do. Any good sales on? Does Steam have a sale going on right now? I was just curious. I haven't looked. I haven't been awake long enough. Home. No. Haven't been home long enough today to really take a look and see if there's any sales and stuff going on right now. But Steam, I know there's Black Friday sales out there. Just wondering if Steam is having one. The cool kids were doing it, huh? until midnight. I hope that's not midnight my time, or I'm going to have to end my stream right now. No. No, I'm going to probably be cutting out a little bit earlier than usual tonight. But I would say that seeing as this weekend I will have quite a bit of time to work on the map because the rest of the family here is off to another little family get-together on the other side of my sister's family. I should be around and doing a lot. I won't be interrupted too much. Other than there's no food in the house, so I gotta do my own shopping, which is unusual. But we'll get her done. We're gonna be, yeah, so I'm guessing that you guys will probably, well, I'll see if I get on during the weekend at all. I usually just want to get a lot done, but if not, if I don't, we should have quite a bit done for Monday's show with any luck. So it doesn't take too long to plant a lot of trees with this little method, as you can see. Just find your area, mark it out, drop a bunch of trees in. Now, if I was actually not streaming, so you guys didn't need to see all of this stuff on this side and this stuff on this side every now and then, I could pull these windows off to my other monitors and I'd have a lot more room to work with while that's another, no offense to you guys, but that's another reason why I don't often stream when I'm trying to get a lot of work done, is because I can work faster with the multiple monitors set up, giving me not having to move around as much to see what's on the, I'd have a much larger area. This whole monitor would be scaled out to where I could play stuff and not have to move as often. I do want to see, I got to paint this railroad track gravel in, because if I don't, then I can't make this forest connect to the other part and fill it in. Add gravel. And I knew this was going to happen. See, we're not painting in here. That is because, again, we have a 4 texture block already. Let's see how bad this is going to be. And that might be why I stopped in that box right there. We have forest ground, 12% rough dirt, which is the road edge. So yeah, we're going to just work the forest around the track. I can't do this, so what we're going to do... Decisions. I really need to... mountain rock in here. I have to get rid of a texture or not do the gravel under the railroad, which is kind of a bummer. So let's take a look at the grass and see what it would look like if we just pulled out, or no, the mountain rock is down there a little bit. I think I can get away without the mountain rock in a section and painting it in grass, but let's see what it looks like. Let's get a bigger circle. We'll bring in actually the forest ground eventually. The grass is saying 45%. The mountain rock is now at 7% in this box. And it is now at 6% because it's down here as well. And it's now at 3. Let's just remove mountain rock from that. So we'll remove, right click. Oh, nope. You got to set it to texture mountain rock. Then right click and remove the chunk. Now when mountain rock is not here, I can actually paint the terrain, and we'll just bring some forest grass back up once I get the track painted in. Now you can see we can keep going. The 4 texture block limit in between those lines is a pain, but you learn to work with it and see how you want to do it. We can make it work. I thought about mountain. Yeah, it's interesting you should say that. I thought about mountain rock under the tracks. That was my other option, but again, we're in over here where we're in another texture block, but this one here, I think I am going to just get rid of the forest ground and end the forest on this part. So let's grab forest ground, and it turned to dirt, which is fine for now. We'll paint it grass. And then we won't worry about putting forest way out here anyway. And back to my gravel on my railroad. So you can see there's just tiny details with this that are all over the place. But as I do I'm really work the area. I want to get the forest done. I need to bring the railroad track stuff out here. The corners are kind of sloppy, yes, I know, but we fix those a little bit later. It's blocky, so it's hard to work with getting the actual turns the way you want them. Because as you can see, it gets thin. You just color it in, and then when you use the smooth tool to bring the grass back in, as I showed you guys before, if we put the smooth on here and change it to grass, then we can smooth the grass in and make a little bit nicer looking lines around the corners that are more equal than all these little points that are sticking out. Just kind of make it a little bit more uniform. And then eventually, I'm not so concerned with the straight areas, but that actually looks pretty good. And we'll just get up past this corner. By finishing up the gravel. I don't know why I even asked about the Steam sales, because I won't be playing any other games for probably another year. But I might be giving away some. I'd rather give away DLCs to Farming Sim if they come out, or something along that line. But you never know. The good sales are, you can pick up a lot of stuff. Is Farm Sim on sale at all on that sale? Might be. Probably not, but it might be. Alright. Now I can grab my forest ground. Except for in this area. Whoops, don't want to do that. We'll get some grass back in here. Because I can't paint that forest ground on this side, but we can fill in this area a little better. Up here. Forest ground. A little bit bigger. Just bring it right out to my track mark there. Make it a little bit random. It's going to go away around the corner. Alright, we're getting there. And we can fill in this bottom part here with some trees again. Let's see, 15% off, $30, and ETS2 is $5. ATS down to 14. Wow, 14 already. All right. So once I do through one size of the tree, actually, let's do a little bit of this mountainside too. We need a lot of those trees. I took out a lot of these trees on the mountainside because I was reshaping the mountain, if you guys remember, so we do got to get them back in. Get it looking like the rest of the map. Alright, I think I'm probably going to have more trees outside of this area, but I don't know yet. So, I don't know what's... Well, yeah, I'm definitely going to have some down below here on this level, so we'll bring a couple down here now that I scroll around and see what we've got. But I don't think I painted grass here yet, so it'd be hard. I'm going to leave it. Yeah, better to leave it, make sure I have grass painted, because the grass is a lot easier to paint when you don't have 100 trees in the way. I know I painted up on the mountain, and that reminds me, what I did not do is, and you'll see why I say it's a lot easier, we need to go to foliage layer. Let me save before I go further, because this used to not work in version 7.04. It would cause a crash, but it has been working. I just don't want to take my chances with all that I've done already. Civ 6 is 10% off. Once we're done saving, I'm going to do some forest grass painting in here, which I should have done before I put the trees down. It's a lot easier. Everything seems to be running so much slower. There we go. All right. Uh, let's see. Did a foliage layer. We're doing forest grass dark, and we have it set to add so you can see it. It's going to dry, and we're just going to scribble some extra forest grass for the detail and on the dark areas around here. Doesn't have to be completely covered in the forest, but it makes it look nice if you get enough, quite a bit of it in there. It's all your design taste. I like to have a lot of forest grass. Sometimes I do the whole area. Sometimes just painting it in. Notice they changed the forest ground texture so it's not pine. I mean, what was? Oh, they had leaves in FS15 was the standard forest texture, and then put all pine trees, which some people have noticed and others have not. I just went with it and kept my mouth shut. But a leaf texture and all the trees you plant were pines, which don't have leaves, they have the needles. Yeah, they fixed it. But we can add these. The forest grass is almost like leaves itself. It's just poison ivy. Run into a lot of that in the forest. 3-leaf plants everywhere. And even on my track, that's close. Good enough for now. It creeped out into the track a little bit in a couple areas. You're itching already? Yeah. Oh yeah, I had, as a kid I can remember building a, we had a pretty big yard, but a lot of it was in the forest. So one year we decided, we got these RC cars and we wanted to build a track for them. So we went into the forest and we built an RC car track, and literally, we're not thinking, pulled out poison ivy with our hands. And I'll tell you, I got this thing that is called recurring poison ivy, that basically my poison ivy would come back every year in the same spot after that one time, whether I went in the woods or not. And it lasted probably about, it slowly disappeared little by little, but every year, same time of year, my poison, for some reason, my poison ivy would come back, and it was on my hands in the same place as it was until eventually it stopped coming back. Got a little bit less and less. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but there is such a thing. Or at least that's what they told me it was. I was a kid. What do I know? I believe them. But we had an awesome dirt track for the remote control vehicles in the woods. Yes, they did have them when I was younger. RC cars have been around a long time. Because I have been around a long time. They were probably just coming out when when I had them, though. That's probably was a big rage back then. think we did pretty good with, got quite a bit of forest grass in here. That should do it. Well, maybe a little more here. Alright, so now that I've got that, did we get it all the way down on this side? No, not on this side of the road. Yeah, you did. You Googled it? It's out there. It was nasty, is right. Fortunately, it was literally on my hands from pulling it out by my bare hands when I was a kid, constantly. And it would just, my hands would be messed up every year after that for several years. I can't even tell you how many. But every year it would be a little bit smaller patch and a little bit smaller. And then eventually it went away. And I don't get it anymore. Yay. Alright. Grass is in. Trees are in. Let's get some more tree sizes down here. We got spruce stage 5. Let's get some smaller spruces in the mix. Some stage 3. And let's start back at this end and work our way down with some new smaller trees. Oh, we got some spots up here to put them. Lots and lots, and we'll fill in as we go, but you know, I primarily was working on the forest area, but I'm finding some nice little areas that I want trees in. And there's going to be a lot of planting trees. Now, one thing I am not 100% sure, I did not do the test yet, but if it works the same way as FS15 did, a stage 3 tree that's in your starter file never grows, stays the same way. I never tested to see if these stage 3s will grow up into stage 5s. Probably not, unless you plant them yourself, but I can't verify it. It might be. That's what it's here for. You know it. Run that scorpion up here. That's why this is a forest area. And you can load them on the train too, because the train goes right through. Oh, you mean up that mountain? Yeah, go for it. That's for the brave. It can be done. Might be a little bit difficult, but you go for it. There's going to be trees up there, but not exactly the easiest place to climb with the scorpion. I can guarantee you that. So, yeah, the trees can be tough at times. You just gotta be careful when you're placing them, because you can end up on the top of one and then it's floating like that. When you're moving around trying to hit these little gaps, you'll get some floaters. I always get a few floaters that I don't realize until I'm in the map that I placed them on top of another tree. But you can see I'm trying to find a ground. Whoops, I just placed one right there. Let's put this one there. The tighter it gets, the harder it is to just do it this way. But the better the forest looks. So getting all these trees in, the more sizes you get in, the closer you got to zoom into the terrain. You can get them really close together if you zoom in, but I like to get as much done. Then you got to move the screen around a lot more, you know? So stand back and get what you can. Challenge accepted. Okay, we'll be pulling some vehicles off of the top of the hill this year. Gotta get the tow straps going. Get the tow mods in play. Dagon's gonna strand a vehicle or two. Come on, get down on the ground. I can't find a place to... There we go. We'll put it there for now. Order poison ivy extract. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know that they had such a thing. Drink it, didn't come back. See, I wasn't losing my mind. Well, I might have been, but yeah. It's not fun. So don't pull the weeds, and wouldn't that be great if we could have character diseases? You cut down. That's the next feature we're going to add to Farm Sim 17. If you're cutting down trees where the poison ivy is, your character is going to develop the itch, and eventually it will not perform as well. And you will lose crops because you didn't take care of your dude and he can't harvest the fields, all because you weren't cautious where you were cutting down your trees. Oh yeah, helicopters. Well, that's the type of thing that makes doing a map right now a little bit difficult. You don't know what people are going to come out with, you know? This will be the first year I have not planned an airport in my first map and watched them have planes that work in multiplayer. That's just my luck. And then I will have to make a lot of alterations to make sure we can get some crop dusting and stuff in here. But it happens. Oh yeah, we'll not get too crazy up here. I gotta still plant grass, I keep forgetting. Alright, 2 tree sizes, let's see. That's spruce 3 and 5, and we'll bring in some pine stage 4s to fill in a lot of the extra spots. Here, get daggone a little bit more reason to climb the hill. Your, your farmer has died of dysentery. Yeah. It had add a new dimension to the game. Alright, so now it gets a little bit tougher to place them, as I was saying. So we got to get a little bit closer to the ground and just try to fill in the gaps as we go and see how dense the forest. This is where your forest density really starts making a huge difference when you're down at the forest level. It kind of gives you a better idea too. But you gotta make sure they're rooted in the ground and not floating like that. So it gets, gotta get closer to the ground when you get a dense forest. Just look for the big areas and fill them in, like I do. Whoops, I just floated one right there. Let's put that one aside, grab the floater. And sometimes it's very hard to see when you do it, but I noticed that that one, you can see the trunk's completely out of the ground. We'll bring it down this way a little. I think I just made that one float too. Just ever so slightly, but yeah, you gotta make sure you don't have floating trees. They're kind of weird when people go to cut them down and they're 6 feet above their head. And you also got to make sure your train isn't running through them either. So, looking down the edge of the track, I want it to be full looking on the outside. I'll look for these little spaces to fill it in a little bit, but you don't want them overhanging too much or you're going to end up clipping all the branches with your train as it comes through. But it does look cool when they're close to the train. So as we're doing it, I will occasionally pop up and look for blank areas and try to get a couple more in there. I think I'm floating again. Here, we'll leave that there for a minute. Let's see. What are we looking like? It's getting better. There's a huge area down here. Alright. Some over this way. You know it. It does take some, takes me 3 days to plant the path. Sometimes. Oh, the one forest up there. No, it's usually not too bad. I just try to get as much as I can done every day. Alright, we're looking pretty good. I'm starting to have issues getting them down to the ground level without, and that's usually when I know it's pretty dense, but I'll jump into the game and we got room over here and just see how it looks from the game point of perspective, because the editor can be so confusing if it's dense enough. And we'll check the frame rates as well as we drive through the forest, but not with the train, because this train is not actually, the spline is not done yet. But we'll see if we've created any problems with frame rates with all these new trees over here. in just a minute and see how it looks in game. Then I'll know if I can stop. I think I need a little bit more down in this area though. Definitely some big bare spots on this, and whoops. We have a floater. That doesn't sound exactly right, but it's a floater. All right. Let's take a gander at our new trees. You think you guys got enough to cut down up there in that area? We'll check it out in game in a minute. I want to put a few more in on this edge. I like to, if you have forest ground, you got to fill it up to the edges a little bit, you know? It doesn't look right to have all that forest ground out there without trees. So, you got to fill up. The edges are pretty important for me anyway. All right. I'm gonna jump in and see what it looks like planted now over here. So I can take a break. What time is it anyway? I gotta get to bed soon. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. But we'll jump in and we'll take a quick look at our new forest that we did today. And see how it looks. I don't know yet. I really want to get a little bit more water on the map too. Maybe I'll search out some areas. I still haven't tested water planes to see if they could be on opposite level. Well, you know what? Why don't we try a little test? Why not do it now? Answer a question. It's not that difficult, and we might just have to load up one extra time. And that question is, can you put water planes on multiple levels this year, or is it going to act as if the whole map was flooded, having a higher water plane in another area from the lower ones, like it has in the past 3 years or versions? Let's do a test, and that is a very simple test. We have a water plane here, and I'm going to take this water plane, because this will make a big difference in the map as well. It's huge. Water plane has environment on create. We're going to duplicate it. It's at a translation of y, which is 80, which is 80 off the ground. There's a lot of room over here that definitely is not all needed for fields, so let's see if I can bring this over. And position it so that it's on the surface. Oh, that looks actually, we'll squeeze it. We got a road there, but we don't have to carve it all out either. Let's put it right about here. And, yep, messages. All right. That is at 86. Actually, I think we could do this at 80 as it is, but I want to do the test, so we'll leave it at 86. Actually, we'll bring it up even a little bit higher. Let's bring it up to 87. I want to see if we just flooded the outside of the field area too for the test. But then I can lower that in and put some water down there. You can't do that. You can't do that in this version. But yeah, I haven't done the extra water planes to see if higher water planes are going to flood the map. If it does, we won't be able to drive out on this field very close. Anything below 87 would flood us instead of 80, which is the current water plane's height. Just keep spinning. It must be all the stuff I got going on. Alright. Jump in the game, see what happens. Yes, you can in, let's see, what version was that? You could plan it on the river bottom? PV17, I think you guys did that. Another test for science. Can we put multiple level water planes? That would be kind of cool if it worked this year, but you never know. We'll grab a vehicle, see what happens. Fences 13. Yeah, that was a while ago. Version 2, pretty good map. I think that was the best one of that year. Well, see, that's what I was afraid of. Didn't have to go far, but you see, we're getting the do not drive too deeply in the water, and there isn't water. So it still holds true. Test is confirmed that you will get that do not drive too deeply message, and you will actually flood your vehicle based on the lowest water plane. So the base water planes all have to be in this at a level of 80 to keep them all the same. So with that we know, we didn't get very far, but that's what tests. I wish they'd do something so you could have multiple level water planes. We could put one, but we'd have to remove this environment on create, and the water would be fake, and then you could drive into it and plant marijuana on the bottom of the water, as Dagon was mentioning. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this, though, and I'm going to set my terrain height value to, where are we? Well, we get a bigger radius, like 15 or something, and we'll set this to 75. We want to be lower, well, not 785, 75. We want to be, because the water height is going to be at 80, and you want to have a river bottom, and we'll be able to carve out another nice chunk of water. Okay, not with the add tool, but with the replace tool. Underneath this, and you can see it through it, and this is how I do it. You could see it through it, and this is how I do it. And I'm really tired because I'm being silly. Okay. But you could see it through it, so you know where the borders are of this big water plane to not go out of. And you don't have to use the whole thing this way. You know, we don't have to go all the way down near the road. And I'm not even using anything other than the in-game water planes that have already been here, and just duplicating it and making my rough outline of my lake so I'm far enough away from the edges. Yes, silly Canadian, silly. So this is a quick way to add water to your map. Notice how I kept the, and you can figure, you could do a very small pond if you wanted to or something here. I want to do some more water just to add character to the map. There's so much land. There's not a lot of water on this map yet, so I know there's definitely room. You've seen how big the map's, but let's give it a little bit of a different shape. There we go. Now we will take the water plane and we will put it at the level of 80. And you'll see a couple spots I missed. That's fine. We got little islands out there. We'll get rid of them. Gives us a sunken shoreline. There's also a water plane mirror which matches this. So, as I was telling people, we've done this a little bit before, but let's see what we can do. Water plane. Right here, the one we have. We're going to grab my X, Y, and Z translate values by Shift-Control-C. I'm going to grab the water plane mirror and duplicate it. Control-D. Here's my new one, and I'm going to go Shift-Control-V, and it will move it to the same values, but I also need to do the same thing with the rotation values, which are right here. Shift-Control-C, put the same rotation on the water plane mirror. Shift-Control-V, there we go. It's exactly on top of the other one, so we'll have the proper water effects when we get in the game. And at this point, I usually just grab, for now, we're going to grab the smooth tool and give it a shoreline a little bit. And as long as you keep the edge of this plane covered, it won't look weird. You won't see the edge, so we'll give it a shoreline. We can paint in some beaches and stuff around the edge. Maybe we'll put a little campsite or something out here. Who knows? Be kind of cool looking. Campgrounds out there or something. We shall see. Lost Lake. But there's so much room for the fields on each of these farms that you could see. Look at all that grass out there that we can put fields in all the way around. And I didn't want to have 1 billion acres of fields this time. So we need to come up with some alternatives. And you know what the cool thing is? These are really a lot of this stuff that I'm going to be putting in. I could take this lake out just as easy if we ever needed space for like 3 or 4 factories, but I want to make sure that people don't use it as we're testing, and that way I will be putting in maybe mountains and stuff in some large areas until we know. But the lake this lake will probably stay, because we're definitely short on water on this map. We'll save it and we'll take a look at it. And then we'll paint it eventually underneath around the shores with this beach sand as I decide what I want to do with this lake. Put some of the water lilies, I guess they're called, we can add some of those near the shorelines as well. See, I never know when I start in a day, to be honest with you. I know what I got to accomplish, but I have no idea what I'm going to be doing because I just jump back and forth as I get to the area that I want to use, And we're saved. Let's go check it out. See what we've done tonight. There's this lake in New Hampshire that is like the most beautiful lake I have ever seen. Up in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. It's called Echo Lake, and it is surrounded by these tall mountains, just lots of trees with this beautiful lake in the middle. And the water is probably the coldest water you're ever going to find because it's so surrounded up in the mountains by the mountains. But yeah, that's an awesome place. If you ever get to New Hampshire White Mountain region, check out Echo Lake. Especially if it's like 100 degrees out, because it won't be there and the water is going to be about 60. Time to take a ride and see what we did. With our new forest and our water over on the other side. Yeah, I'm liking it. It's gonna be there. It's gonna get there. You can see we're doing something all the time. It's making progress. We're moving forward. I hate when we get stuck. We haven't got to those places where I've got so much to do that we're not stuck yet, but there are times when it just gets so frustrating. But this is not. This is my favorite time. The map's starting to create. It's starting to. We're starting to get a feel of what it's going to be like, and yeah, there will be a lot of alterations down the road, but it really is starting to turn into the map. The days of trying to figure out the scripts to get factories and stuff, that's when it's going to be, if depending on how difficult it is, that's when it gets sometimes monotonous. Although I'm not looking forward to doing the other two train splines or the traffic splines out here either. Those there are going to be a few days of just, maybe I'll just put fences all the way down the roads too. No. It's going to be a lot of work. I definitely want to add some fence to the farms. It's farmland. We got to have some fences out here. But not necessarily, I don't want to scare you guys. We could put guardrails on this highway, for instance. It would be kind of cool. I have guardrails. We got street lights to put out here as well. So here's the area we were working in. There's our forestry area that we just planted. I don't really have a path through that forest. You'll have to park down here somewhere, or coming with your train. Whoa, don't tip over. But let's turn on the frame rate. We're still at 60. You see I always fluctuate 59s to, if you're moving this fast and you're getting 60s steady through this dark forest. It's dark in here too, the way it's designed. It could be a little bit more dense. I'll probably go back and put some more trees in here, because there's some pretty big gaps, but it's definitely pretty good. And we've got a solid 60 frames coming through with occasional dips to 58, but that's normal anywhere I go on the map. You got that bridge there that we kind of funkily made, but hey. So yeah, that part's looking. Let's go check out the lake. Yeah, guardrail for when there's unsafe drop-off. We can make a few of those too. But we'll come around here, check out the lake. Whoa. Get back on the road. I like the fact that it comes right up close to the city, the forest on the side there. That's pretty cool. give it a little bit of. There's going to be lots of buildings, a lot of road work to do in that area. And down here somewhere, where did I put that lake? I think it's back this way, on the other, in between these farms. Yep. If you notice, I actually have yellow lines on this road too, and I have not copied and moved all the yellow lines over on all the road segments that are extending off of it either. So that's another piece of work that has to be done. I think we're down even further this way. This is the railroad track that comes through. A lot of railroad to paint underneath. And our lake is up here, nestled in the side of the hillside. Look at that. Once we get some beaches and rock painted in, we'll have a pretty good size lake there. Yeah. Another water feature added to the map. And I love the, just like I said, this little inlet and randomness. It kind of makes you, I just do it random because it's designing itself, but at the same time it gives you further ideas, for me anyway. That's the way my mind works. You know, why make a circle little lake? Let's give it the little jut out where you can, and then you got a little place to fill in, maybe with a dock over there, or who knows what will come of it when we're done. But definitely just putting the pieces together and filling in the blanks is the way I do it. We might have a mill down on the side of that lake at some point, you know, a soybean mill or something like we've done in the past. But you never know. And the map, as big as it is, and it's still got a lot way to go, but you can see we're pretty good, 60 frames per second. I'd be happy as long as the forest areas stay above 55 when we're driving through them. It could get interesting with the buildings on the other side, I'll give you that much, being that close to that building area, because they're going to be a lot more triangles. But we'll check it out, try to keep it above 55 frames when we get there. And this area over here should now be, I don't think I did put the grass on, but there's dirt underneath it now, so we can plow that all out if we want to. And I think that's going to be it for today's show. I know it's a little bit shorter than usual, but I didn't get a lot done, and I didn't get a lot of sleep. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you for any followers that did not pop up there, or any donations that I will find. Is there going to be mining? Good question there, Iceman. The mine, well, we've got a few minutes. We'll go over. Yes, I definitely want to get mining on the map. We've discussed it in the past here, but there's an area that I'm setting aside for mines on the far corner around this way. And it's going to be different if I can do it. I'm still waiting. It all right now, that again is waiting for the fruit and fill type registration. The fruit and fill type registration is going to be needed, the fill types for the sand and gravel, but we also need to make sure it's working so that they can be dumped to the fields. And the plan is, because we have the tip anywhere function in here, is to have our mined materials actually be scooped up this time, just as if you had right now a pile of straw on the ground that you can dig into with your shovel. I want to have it so that we will have huge areas where the sand, gravel, and stuff is actually a fill material on the ground, filled in a very large area, because it can only be so deep, about as deep as you got in a bunker. But just maybe even on some of the shores of these beaches of the lakes have the sand, where you would have to get your sand from the lake shores and have a large area for gravel that you can drive into. And good night, KW. And then, as well as the coal and stuff, whatever we decide to put in, just be able to literally have a huge area that you got to drive in and fill up the shovel just like you would if you were filling up a shovel with something you dumped on the field. So that would be, of course, that would mean there's a limited amount on the ground of those materials and you could run out. So underneath those large areas that you can dig out, there will be some of the original triggers that you can, probably the planes like we had in PV17, where they move, but they will be refilling, so they will come back out, you know, just at the bottom, so you always have a supply if you end up digging it out. But I have this whole area over here that dips down on this side around the railroad track. I definitely want to fill in back here with a lot of sand and gravel on this area because it's kind of its own little area, as well as I'm kind of staying away from what's on the other side of the road over there as well, so we can do a lot of mining things in this area. We'll shape it and make it right as it comes, but that's why this is all gravel basin. So that is the plan for the mining. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys. I'll be back here no later, if all goes as planned, than Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And thanks for watching. And it should be a pretty good weekend. I think by Monday I should have a lot of stuff done. Sand dredges. Yeah, I actually... I can never end because you guys keep throwing things up there. Sand dredges would be kind of cool. It would be cool. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all on Monday, if not sooner.